It's Mia, Pastor Mia, CreaseSinger, whichever you like. I still use CreaseSinger because a lot of people really get used to my Twitter account and, goalie-oriented people and hockey-oriented people particularly kind of know me that way. So, I do use that. I am a pastor, and I have just recently started I started ministry a while ago, but, I now have an official ministry name and logo and all that kind of thing going on. So, yes, I am the founding non-denominational pastor for God Cares Ministries, and the tagline is See the Truth. So, I'm probably going to catch hell from some severe traditionalist Christians. I will talk to anyone. I'm not going to, turn away from a pagan. I'm not going to turn away from a Muslim. I'm not going to turn away from a Jew or anybody really that. The ultra poison spreading negative people who just are, bitter constantly. I do tend to, there's a limited time exposure that I will allow myself to before I, break off. And I am also working on a PhD in basically what's called parapsychology, mostly because the supernatural really is, it fits more in that category according to modern thinking and modern psychology and modern physics, because there's a metaphysical, there's, the spirit is not something that you can clearly define or see tangibly. And there is angelic activity, which often gets confused for other types of activity. And there are some things that, some people do have gifts and they are connected to something that, many people just don't believe is there. But more and more over the years, there's just been more and more evidence of these things that's accumulated. So, maybe in 20 years, it's where I am is not even going to be called parapsychology. It's just going to be called, I don't know, who knows? Human psychology, heavenly psychology, I don't know. But it will be more and more accepted because there's more and more proof and evidence of it. And I am considered a truther because I seek the truth and only the truth and nothing but the truth. And just like so many people on earth is, where we come from? How did we get from, our origin to here? And, what can we do to improve our entire being, our entire self? So I do believe in the Holy Lord Father God, absolutely. Trust without any reservation at all. But, there's a lot of people who want to look at that and say, okay, well then all the Buddhists are enemies and then all the witches are... And I disagree with that on so many different levels that, I'm sure I'm going to catch hell. I'm sure I'm going to be attacked. I'm sure I'm going to have unreasonable comments, all sorts of things. So I've been setting myself up in a situation where I have someone to talk to about it often, and where I can, take some shelter every so often, and, preparing myself mentally to be able to handle a barrage of not so friendly. So I wish it didn't have to be that way, but it is what it is. A lot of people will say, oh, it's when I say it all happens for a reason. And, those who believe in God, well, I can just say, I've been told, oh, that's too new age. Oh, that you're a spiritualist and blah, blah, blah. Well, when we were yet pagans, can I remind you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, where did you all come from? What did you used to be? Were you all so perfect? Were you all so straight? No, you weren't. Okay, we're all like in the same boat. not a single person has gone through life without telling some kind of fib. And so you may not have even realized that you said a lie. You just repeated something you thought was truth, but you actually repeated a lie. So nobody's allowed to be all walking around thinking, I'm extra special, and I'm better than they are. Right? You may have improved as a person, and you may be among some people you look at like, oh, geez, I'm glad I'm not like them. Right? I'm a little above that. Can you rise up with me so we can have a reasonable, mature conversation? But it is, there's a reason for it. Yes, God's will is what it is. And, I understand ancient alien theory in certain ways, but it just doesn't really leave me to look at all things in light of Revelation in the New Testament. But I don't just read the New Testament. I've also read the Old Testament. It's foundational. You need to understand all of that, and you need to have a basic information of how that all happened, before you read the New Testament. So I'm not one of those who's going to be telling anybody, don't worry about the Old Testament, but the Old Testament is tied to Revelation, just like the New Testament is tied to Revelation. But there are some things in Revelation that indicate a few things, and some people don't like that. A third of the people are going to burn a third of the people are going to be, in process of Revelation does send angels, and they are meant to harm the earth. There are some things, some real tough things, and they're very hard to not only comprehend, but accept. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Well, we need to just, trust and rely on him. And when we're through it, we'll know why. We will get the answer. We will get the answer. And we will get some fundamental truths. But I do tend to think that, I still tend to think that some of the ancient alien theories, not that I disagree, it's not all as it seems, and there are otherworldlies, but otherworldlies, I mean, Jesus could be considered an otherworldly. A lot of people will say that. Angels are very different from humans, and there is a tendency to anthropomorphize, which means put human characteristics on something that doesn't have human characteristics. Angels, and, I would like to dissuade people from doing that, because they are quite different, and their abilities and capabilities and the way they think is quite different. So we do have to kind of put that there to say angels do have territory, and that's a fact. So, many humans may be, oh, well, this is the sky god or the sun god or the, right? And I understand God and goddess moon. I understand practical magic. I understand elemental. I understand all of that. I understand white magic. I understand Wiccans. I understand these things. And I'm not judging. I'm simply saying that in light of that, many humans likely have looked at what were thought of as gods, because they were not made aware at the time that there was angelic activity. A lot of that is hidden, from human sight and view. Not all the time. Sometimes angels will go just, nuts trying to communicate with you. And they do it in so many different ways. Eventually, they're going to get your attention. It just will happen. But a lot of it, I think, is just basic. There are the celestials, there are the angels, there are, elders, there are these powers and beings that we don't really understand, but to most people, they could seem like gods. And perhaps it is that some angels did not correct humankind, which could have been the case, could still be the case, to say, no, this, that, and the other. I've had many supernatural paranormal experiences at this point. And I'm an empirical thinking, scientific-minded individual. So, the skepticism was, held for as long, years and years for me, for as long as I possibly could, until it was, well, there's just no freaking way. And in light of Revelation, it all started clicking. So I'm a bit more, I do believe in otherworldly. I do know that humankind does get directed, and we should be grateful for that. It is scary when you can't see where you're going and you don't really know entirely. And, it could be that, oh, we're going to get wiped out. And I don't live in fear that way, because fear is a trap. So don't get trapped, is my best advice. Try to maneuver your mind out of that trap, is my best advice. So, yes, I am starting ministry. No, I don't. I do have a logo, a brand, all that kind of thing. I have all that. But I did actually purchase a domain name. I'm waiting. I am in a negative monetary situation. Most things I do in my own money and time. And I do have Parkinson's, and I do have other healthcare issues that put me in a situation where earning money is difficult. But I'm also a nonprofit. So I don't, go seeking big money. Because right now I'm not set up to handle big money anyway. So, anyone sees this, I am trying to set up a donation portal on my blog. When the ministry website goes up, the blog will be a part of that. It is a part of the ministry. It's the beginning of it. And so it'll be that way. But for now, I'm also asking checks in the mail, and other types of things if you're local in the Elton, Maryland, or you're driving on I-95. And I'm right off I-95. I sound pretty bad. I had viral syndrome for 3 weeks, and it's still lingering. It wasn't COVID. Got tested for that twice, but it was a rough go for a little while. And I have thyroid nodules, which press against parts of my neck here, so that kind of messes with my voice. But I just kind of wanted to check in and let some people know I am time limited. I do try and divide up my time during the day. I need to rest a lot. So I can't spend as much time on Twitter as I once did. I can't, spend a lot of time talking, especially now. My voice is about ready to go, so my limit here is 14 minutes. But I wish everybody love and peace and goodness and the sight to see the positives and the beauty and the good when you most need it. But, I'll try and do a little more updating. I can now do live streams very easily, so that will get started. Part of my ministry will be focusing on talk, counseling, coaching, brain training, helping out individuals who have been diagnosed with lifelong complex PTSD. That could be military, first responders, athletes. My next door neighbor, that can happen for a lot of reasons. Abuse victims. So there are many people, and especially in COVID times, who they just need to reach out and talk to somebody or vent, or kind of check themselves with other people, see, how am I faring? I mean, that kind of thing. So I will be making sure to have a regular live chat that will probably be maybe 1 week I will do it, at early in the morning, around 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. for people who are in different time zones, or early birds in my time zone. And then another maybe at 6 p.m. the following week for, working on time zones and, early birds or late birds where I am. So I also have comments. There will also be a live stream that will discuss strictly paranormal, parapsychological, supernatural. And that's a TV show. That's over. Well, sometimes you do. I did like the end. A lot of people don't. Sometimes the best thing to do, really, for someone, and that's the best kind of love you can give them, is tell them it's okay to go. I did like the end of that, because sometimes that's the most loving thing you can do, is let somebody know when they're passing away. It's okay to go. So I did like the end of that. But I mean, the supernatural is in all things Kingdom of God and all things not quite Kingdom of God. So I, bless you, love and light and goodness. And I hope that your angel finds you and keeps you well. So take care. See you next time.